get away with people. And I can give you a list of things that kill people a lot faster than cigarettes kill people. So, pretty soon we're going to ban meat. We're going to ban fat. We're going to ban all this stuff that clogs up the arteries because you're just a victim. We didn't know all these decades that this stuff leads to hardening of the arteries and eventually heart attack and stroke. And we can't handle this. But we'll sell our beef to the Japanese and to the Europeans. Let them die. I am... No wonder Bill Clinton is ahead in the polls. We'll be back.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Just got off the phone with the American Cancer Society, ladies and gentlemen. Have some interesting numbers here now. If you're just joining us, Frank Lautenberg, Senator from New Jersey yesterday, in what can be described as nothing more than a stupid press conference disguised as a Senate hearing, proclaimed that 600,000 Americans have died from smoking since the Republicans assumed control of Congress. 600,000 Americans. Well, now, since it hasn't quite been 2 years, we figured that sounds like if he were making this statement at the end of 1996, it's been 2 full years, it might be up around 800,000. So I instructed my staff to get hold of the American Cancer Society. We talked to a man named Brent Saunders there, and we asked him, do you have a figure for us on how many people, Americans, have died because of cigarette smoking, say in the last 40 or 50 years? Well, it's tough to come up with because it's a different number every year. Fewer people smoke, more people smoke. Look, we're looking for a benchmark number. If we said between 300,000 and 400,000 a year, are we going to be close? And the American Cancer Society said, yeah, as a benchmark, 300,000 to 400,000 deaths a year because of cigarette smoke. That's what we believe. You're fairly close there. So we're going to use 400,000 as our benchmark number. We ran the numbers. The last 50 years, that means 20 million Americans have died because of cigarette smoking. And out of those 50 years, 40 of those years, the Democrats ran Congress. My friends, the Democrats were in charge, and more Americans died than were killed by Joseph Stalin. When the Democrats were in charge, more Americans died than were killed by Joseph Stalin. Not quite as many as were killed by Mao Zedong, but it's close. When the Democrats were in charge. Ask yourself, how come the Democrats didn't care a whit until about 6 weeks ago? Think about it. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back for more, ladies and gentlemen. Rush Limbaugh, the most unique radio program on the air today. The Excellence in Broadcasting Network, a program dedicated to the daily relentless pursuit of the truth. Unstoppable pursuit of the truth. And we find it. We hit pay dirt. And when we do, you better have courage. You need the courage to believe the truth as we discover it on this program. Otherwise, you'll go nuts. You'll make a fool of yourself writing inane letters and making stupid phone calls.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program. America, the way it ought to be.
Hubba, hubba.
And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
Hey, guess what, my friend? Saddam Hussein is shooting at us. Oh, he's going to rue the day he started this. You don't go around making Peter Arnett and Bill Clinton mad. No, my friends. So we're going to fire back. We sent some stealth fighters over there now. This is getting serious. I expect, my friends, that we'll fire some more missiles, and this time we'll aim 500 miles closer to the target than we did last time, and we'll see if they listen to us then. Ah, yes. I have a column here by Maureen Dowd. And, oh, by the way, the phone number is 800-282-2882. And let me ask you, before I get to Maureen Dowd, let me ask you a question. Does anybody know what our policy in Iraq is? What is it? Tell me. Confusion is the policy? Who are we trying to confuse? Ourselves? So the Clinton administration's policy in Iraq is to confuse the American people, you think? Well, if that's the case, my friends, then we've... if our policy is confusion, I'd say that it's succeeded. We've won. Because somebody tell me what we're doing. Now, and don't rush. We're trying to save the lives of the Kurds. Yeah, okay. You go ahead and think that. I don't want to burst your bubble. We're trying to save the lives of the Kurds just like we're trying to get 6-year-olds to stop smoking. Maureen Dowd today has a column in the New York Times that really dovetails with the focus of discussion that we've had all week long here on the program about why, at what point the American people look at this administration to say enough's enough. How is it that poll after poll shows that 2/3 of the American people think that Bill and Hillary Clinton are lying about Whitewater? That 2/3 of the American people think they're lying about Filegate. That 2/3 of the American people think they're not trustworthy. That 2/3 of the American people wouldn't want their children to be raised by Bill or Hillary. That 2/3 of the American people wouldn't go into business with them. And yet they're going to vote for them. Why? How is this? How can this be? What is the explanation? There are a lot of people curious about this. And I'll tell you, they're curious about it, as Maureen Dowd is, in the same sense and for the same reason that we've been curious about it all week. It says more about our country than it actually does about Bill or Hillary. What's happening to our country? And everybody has an answer to this, and they're probably all partially right. I talked to my mom last night. I told you about this earlier on in the program. I said, Mom, I've just been thinking here. I mean, how did I end up not becoming a drug addict and an alcoholic? How did you and Dad keep us? We lucked out. I said, no, come on. I mean, you told us the difference between right and wrong, and we didn't want to embarrass you. We wanted your approval. We didn't want to disappoint you. And I'll tell you, when we did, we were punished on that basis. You've let us down, son. And that was crushing. Maybe that doesn't exist anymore. Maybe kids just don't have enough respect for their parents anymore to give a hoot in hell what their parents think about anything. There's also, this was pointed out to me, and I know some of you, especially you liberals who think you're so progressive, you're going to guffaw at this. But it was pointed out to me last night, Rush, you didn't just have your parents, though. When you turned on the television at night, you had sappy shows. You had Bonanza. You had Father Knows Best. You had the Nelsons, the Beaver Cleaver show, and you had look at the top 10 shows when you were a young kid in the formative stages of your life. Andy Griffith, Patty DeVito, every show was about the family. And the family was a specific thing. And so there was this constant reinforcement every night. The people today look back, that wasn't reality, that was sap. Reality today is 2 mommies as your family. Reality today is 2 daddies as your family, or whatever we want our family to be. And that's the progressive way to look at it. But my mom thinks that she had more help than just our household. She had our whole extended family, and the stuff that was on TV was not poisoning our minds. Compare it to what's on television today, and you have to think about it, at least. Even you liberals have to think about it in terms of influence today. There's nothing like that stuff on TV, and that stuff is made fun of. But what's wrong with a 4, 5, 6, or 7-year-old watching Andy Griffith, for crying out loud? Andy Griffith's still a very high-rated show, by the way, on TBS. What's wrong with that? A lot of people find things wrong with that today. So there are major differences, and you can point to the media in some of it, and you have to point to parents as well. Everybody's now writing about this. Maureen Dowd, I must tell you that I don't know specifically Maureen Dowd's leanings. I would have to assume that when it comes time, she's going to vote for Clinton. But I think she's very troubled by it. Let me read to you just some passages from her piece here, just to show you that even in certain quarters, in certain sectors, and I've been interviewed by Maureen Dowd. I know her a little bit, not well, but I know some of what I'm saying here about her leanings. If Mr. Clinton is trivializing the presidency in his campaign, for example, he announced yet another toll-free number this week to help match those who want to get off welfare with employers. If Mr. Clinton's trivializing the presidency in his campaign, he's only reflecting trivial yuppies used to a world not of heroic proportions, but of Seinfeldian proportions. A world defined not by a battle between good and evil, but a choice between skim or whole, calf or D, foam or no foam, carbonated or still, lemon or lime. The scary thing about Bob Dole is that just below the surface, we fear we can't live up to his standards. That he's an old-fashioned curmudgeon who's never going to think we have enough starch. On the other hand, we know we can live up to Bill Clinton's standards. So it's futile for Republicans to argue that Mr. Clinton is flawed because all he does is respond and change. That's exactly why people like him. We're in a consumer culture. Baby boomers are the most spoiled, over-marketed cohort in history. Accustomed to having products tailored to them. Why should the presidency be any different? It's gratifying when someone changes for you, when someone gets more conservative if you want, or stops hatching unnerving big plans to revise government if you want, or helps you discipline your kids if you want. In the absence of a Republican candidate with charm and leadership who can persuade people of what they should want, rather than merely go along with what they do want, the public will be practical. Given a choice between a politician who ignores us or one who caters to us, why not take the one who seems to be listening? The joke is we're looking to Bill Clinton for continuity and stability, and he's looking to us for continuity and stability. But even if we don't like what we see in the mirror, we can't really blame the president because the image in the mirror is our own. Well, have you not heard portions of this on this show this week? We like Clinton because he is us. We say things we don't mean. He says things he doesn't mean. Right up our alley. I like this little swipe here at Jerry Seinfeld, too. There's not too many people that do that. But how about this paragraph? The scary thing about Bob Dole is that just below the surface, we fear we can't live up to his standards. That he's an old-fashioned curmudgeon who's never going to think we have enough starch. On the other hand, we know we can live up to Bill Clinton's standards. The question there, if that's correct, is why do we choose lower standards? Because we feel better about ourselves? Because we have such little self-confidence? Perhaps. But I think there's something very telling here. And the reason I bring this to your attention, I always respected my father's standards. And to people today, he would be the same as Dole, an old-fashioned curmudgeon, although he was far more energetic and boisterous and loud. And I mean, he had his own charisma. I mean, my friend's 17 years old. We're supposed to be out doing drugs and smoking dope and drinking booze, right? Getting away from our parents. The big excitement on Friday night was for all of us to get around and get my dad at the table, and one of us would take a stab at getting him riled up about something and just sit back and listen for the next 3 hours. Because you always learn something. And it was entertaining, it was fun, and it was passion and all that. That happened, I can't tell you how often that happened, both with my brother's friends and with my friends. And we always did want to please him. Always did, and it was tough too. And he was not a perfect father, and there were many times where I would say, you're never going to be satisfied with what I do. You're just never going, and a lot of sons have that lament about their fathers. But when it's all said and done, there's one reality that throughout the human condition cannot be denied. Somebody sets high expectations for you, you get better. When somebody sets the bar low, you will, by definition, sink to what is the least necessary to get by. And that's what Bill Clinton is doing to this country. Doesn't raise anybody's expectations. Bill Clinton accommodates people's failures. In fact, in a way, encourages them, because it allows him to position himself as the savior of all American failures. And I tell you, there's nothing wrong with you. And we'll fix it, and we'll take over, and whatever needs to be done to make you feel better about yourself, leave it to us. We'll handle it. We'll be your bridge to the 21st century. Ted Kennedy driving. This, my friends, is why I would flunk in my first day as a candidate. Because you know what I would say? I would say on the stump that, I'm running for president, or whatever the office, and I'm going to do my job, and here are the things I think I can do and should do, try to make things better or whatever. But let me tell you something. I really have high expectations of you. And I'd point straight to whoever was watching live or on television. I have expectations of you. You are the people who make the country work, and if you don't reach your pinnacle, neither does the country. And I don't know if you want to hear me say that. I don't want to know. I don't know that you want to hear me talk about how much is expected of you. I happen to think people rally to that. I think that's why so many sons bust their rear ends to please their fathers. Sometimes the fathers take it too far and they're never pleased. With daughters too. But the process still of trying to gain the approval because you respect an elder involves setting that expectation bar very high. And that's what troubles everybody in this country right now, is we're lowering our own expectations of ourselves and of everybody around us. And if somebody refuses to play by that rule and instead seeks to be better than their neighbor, then all of a sudden we make them a target. They're not playing by the rules. You're trying to show me up, aren't you? You're trying to outdo me. You're trying to make me look bad. So we go to our schools and we say, the gifted child will learn at the same rate as the average child. And if somebody knows 2 + 2 is 4 in the first grade, well, it's not right if they all don't know that 2 + 2 is 4, so we won't acknowledge that 2 + 2 is 4 until everybody figures it out. So we are not, with this president and this administration, making our nation better. We are becoming slaves to our laziness and our worst instincts. We are not doing what's necessary to keep this nation moving forward, all because it's too hard. We'll be back.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Well, folks, I've settled on the exact degree of firmness I like for my mattress. How, you ask? Well, I've told you that with the Select Comfort Sleep System, you adjust your mattress for firmness merely by touching a button. Well, listen to this. Your spouse or your pet, whoever you sleep with, can adjust his or her side of the mattress to a different specification. This, my friends, is revolutionary technology, and it is why Select Comfort is one of the nation's fastest-growing companies. And I will admit it, I was a skeptic until I tried the Select Comfort Sleep System. And now, and you tell what I did, I put it in the guest room. That's how much I love this bed. I have put it in the guest room, put one there so that our guests can enjoy the comfort of the Select Comfort Sleep System. It is truly remarkable. And I understand now why those of you who have one rave about it being the best night's sleep of your life. For a free brochure and video, call 1-800-GET-A-BED. Ask Select Comfort about the 90-night in-home trial. 1-800-GET-A-BED. With Select Comfort, you'll be sleeping on air. That's 1-800-GET-A-BED.
Do you have trouble sleeping through the night?
Here's news from SunSource.
When we're young, our bodies produce melatonin naturally, which helps us sleep soundly.
But as we age, we produce less and sleep less.
So how do we get the sleep we need?
Take Melatonex, the finest pure melatonin in a unique time-release tablet. Melatonex provides melatonin the way the body does, gradually,
Melatonex.
for a good night's sleep all night.
Make sure it ends with an X.
Time-release Melatonex. Sleep better, feel better.
At food and drug stores. Use as directed.
Good day, Mr. Phelps. Take a close look at this photograph. It's a picture of the service department at James Finch Chevrolet. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take your team and check out every inch of this service facility. My sources tell me it's the finest in the area. Check out their tools. Check out their technicians. You'll find they're all factory trained, I'm sure. Find out why they're known as the place for top quality service. Once you have this information, report to me immediately. And by the way, Jim, if any of our vehicles need service, get it done at James Finch Chevrolet, 400 West Main Street in Bailey, LBJ Chevrolet Buick in Nashville, and Finchwood Chevrolet in Roanoke Rapids. Remember, Jim, this tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. James Finch Chevrolet, where better service is always possible. James Finch Chevrolet.
Knowles Carpet, your Carpet One store in Goldsboro, delivers the buying power of over 500 stores nationwide. With this comes tremendous savings for you on all your carpet needs. Choose from a variety of brands, styles, and fabric combinations. Knowles also features Karistan Oriental rugs. When you're ready to recarpet, let Knowles Carpet help you save through their association with Carpet One, America's largest carpet retailer. Knowles Carpet, 2311 Way Memorial Drive, Goldsboro. Quality flooring, expertly installed.
For a complete line of Rheem air conditioning, heating systems, and heat pumps, contact New Hope Heating and Air. Rheem air conditioners are tough and can take years of just about anything. It's easy to get a Rheem unit for your home to replace your inefficient air conditioner or heating system. Just call New Hope Heating and Air, your Rheem dealer, and start enjoying the air of quality you get from a Rheem heating, air conditioning, or heat pump unit. Call New Hope Heating and Air, a CP&L quality heat pump dealer, 778-3804.
Wayne County's news and Limbaugh leader, 1150 WGBR, Goldsboro's very own.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. And to the phones now at 800-282-2882. This is Bob in Philadelphia. Hey, I'm glad you waited. Thanks for the call.
Rush, how you doing?
Good.
Rush, it's already started here with the smoke police in Philadelphia and Jersey. A local station about a week or so ago jumped on the bandwagon. They put hidden cameras in a local drugstore, and according to them, it showed that the clerk was selling cigarettes to underage kids. In the meantime, the same station 2 weeks later, or a week later, reported that Philadelphia was now #1 in the nation in the amount of people that they treated in the emergency wards for drug overdoses. We have a school system that can't keep the guns and drugs out of the schools. They have a 300-man full-time police department paid by that comes under the school district's budget, $24,000 per man, and they have 300 part-time police officers. And their union leader, last year when they negotiated their contract, he was trying to get bulletproof vests for all the officers that patrolled the schools. And he said it was the most dangerous job in the city. In the meantime, America's
Well, that's a very smart police chief, because, we can't make kids stop bringing guns. If they've made the decision to bring guns to school, we're going to deal with it. I suggested, in fact, Bob, long ago, that the teachers in such schools wear vests, because we are told we can't stop kids from having sex, we can't stop them from smoking unless we somehow get the Democratic Party in action and ban Joe Camel or whatever, and we can't stop them from carrying guns. So the only smart thing to do is what your police chief down there has done. I applaud him.
Well, that wasn't the police chief, Rush. That was the head of the police for the school board.
Well, that's whatever.
Yeah.
A smart move. It was a smart move, because everybody knows. My friends, I know I'm sounding silly, but aren't you a little bit tired of the excuse, kids are going to do it anyway, we can't stop them? If that were the case, we would have long ago lost our civilization, and we wouldn't even be a country today, because thousands of years ago society would have broken down if you couldn't control what kids were going to do. Now, why all of a sudden, in the age of liberalism and Me Too-ism and anything you want to do-ism, why all of a sudden can you not stop kids from taking guns to schools? And the solution to it is vests. And we think everything's just hunky-dory and fine, man. We're gonna vote Bill Clinton. Yeah, I get more and more amazed with stuff like this as I hear it. Go ahead, Bob. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, and Rush, the same. I've been trying to find out. I've been calling all the local politicians, trying to find out what percentage of the Philadelphia public school teachers send their kids to the Philadelphia public schools, and nobody will give you an answer. They just went and reassessed all the houses up in Philadelphia
And in the meantime, your local TV station in Philadelphia is out monitoring convenience store sales of cigarettes to kids. See, my friends, there is no sense of proportion on any of this. Here is Mark in Salt Lake City. Welcome to the EIB network.
Well, thank you for taking my call, Rush.
You bet.
I really appreciate this. I'm very nervous. It's the first-time caller. I've been listening to you for a long time. I used to live in Southern California and was introduced to you there, and I've been very impressed with a lot of the things that you've done and have helped this country with. And you brought up an excellent point. I think the GOP really needs to listen to you. You have a simple message. I'm in sales, and we're always trying to boil very complex things down to the simplest point. And we really just need to choose standards. And I guess what I'm really nervous about is that if we really put it to the American people, that they might choose the low standards. They've done it so far.
Yeah, that's what Maureen Dowd is saying. It's easier.
Mm-hmm. Well, and not only that, it answers most of their problems. One of the reasons why I moved to Utah is that people demand higher standards here, and the people that have been moving in with me from California that don't want those high standards, they want an easier lifestyle. They want a more relaxed lifestyle because it's so beautiful and simple out here. They complain because of the, we have a large group here that...
Quickly.
They maintain higher standards, and it's hard for other people to maintain.
I know, it makes you feel guilty, and you don't want to be made to feel guilty because you don't measure up. So you got to tear those people down.
If you still read the same old way you were taught in school, listen to this. When it comes to reading, your brain is like a Ferrari, and there's no speed limit. The Reading Genius Home Study Course shows you how to read your favorite book in one evening. Instead of seeing words, you'll absorb what's on the page like it was one of your favorite movies. You'll read 200% faster or more, guaranteed, with Reading Genius. Try it risk-free for 60 days. Call 1-800-281-5808. That's 1-800-281-5808.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
For WGBR News, I'm Thomas Vick. The Wayne County Economic Development Commission has announced that a Japanese company will locate its first United States manufacturing facility and headquarters in Wayne County. Wayne County Economic Development Commission Director John Howard says the Uchiyama Manufacturing Corporation, currently headquartered in Okayama, Japan, has purchased an 80,000 square foot building here in Goldsboro, previously owned by the Amity Leather Products Company, to house its manufacturing facility. The company mostly manufactures gaskets for the automotive industry and is also known for its high quality in the research and production of other containment devices such as corks, stoppers, and packing materials. It's expected to be in operation by early 1997. As a result of the industry coming to Goldsboro, 20 new jobs will be created with an investment of $10 million, with growth plans which are expected to double the jobs and investment in future years. The flooding continues as the Neuse River is almost at its cresting point of 27 feet. The crest is subject to change due to more rain in the forecast, but no official change has taken place. About 1,000 people have been urged to evacuate their homes or prepare to do so. Before it's over, the Neuse is expected to reach 13 feet above flood level in the city due to heavy rains and water from the Falls Lake Dam north of Raleigh. Both bridges on Highway 117 are still open and are not expected to be affected by the flooding waters, which are not expected to become violent. Roads leading up to those bridges could be affected as part of one already has. A portion of the southbound lane on the north side of the bridge has been closed for about a half a mile due to high water. The northbound lane is being used as a two-lane street to allow traffic to pass. If the bridges are indeed affected, traffic would have to be directed otherwise by traffic officials. The flooding is expected to stick around for a few days. With sewer systems backing up and caskets floating in flooded areas, public health concerns are now a grave issue. Wayne County Emergency Services Coordinator Joe Gurley says the longer the flooding persists, the worse the situation will get. Gurley adds right now there are no water contamination problems to deal with. Neither Carolina Power and Light Company nor Tri-County Electric membership officials have confirmed they will fluctuate power in any way as a result of the flooding. Goldsboro Police Chief Chester Hill and officials from the North Carolina Highway Patrol are urging motorists to slow down, burn your headlights, use your flashers, and allow more time to get to your destination. Also avoid driving through high water areas. I'm Thomas Vick for WGBR News.
We'll look for more clouds than sunshine for this afternoon. A few showers or thunderstorms are possible. Highs today about 77 to 82 degrees. Then tonight, variably cloudy. We'll have a small chance of an overnight thunder shower thanks to an approaching cold front. Lows tonight in the low to mid-60s. And then on Friday, we can't rule out an isolated shower or storm, but for the most part, we'll call it partly cloudy tomorrow. High temperatures a little warmer, even though a cold front will be in the area. Tomorrow reaching about 80 to 85. I'm Mike Moss at the Weather Center.
You know, it ought to make you feel good, folks. When you really boil it all down, let's say that you are conservative. Maybe you don't even describe yourself as a conservative. You're just a traditional American. You believe in playing by the rules, hard work, high standards, high expectations, always trying to be your best, or most of the time trying to be your best. You find that you're despised by liberals and others. It ought to make you feel good that the reason you're despised is because you make people nervous because your standards are higher than they want to be measured by or that they want to have to try to live up to. And so, in essence, what you really do is frighten them. Frighten. And I don't mean you want to feel good because you make people fear you, but it really, I think it has a lot of truth to it. I think you can boil it down to the fact that an achiever in this country ends up with a bullseye painted on the front or back of the shirt in far too many people's minds. Here's Bruce in Lake Worth, Florida. You are next on the EIB network. Hello.
Mr. Limbaugh, Rush, if I might.
You might.
Dittos from Lake Worth, Florida, that conservative little section next to where you have a home.
Yeah, I know where Lake Worth is. I drive by it quite a bit.
Yes. Been looking for you.
You've been lucking out on the hurricanes down there this year.
Well, we have, and it looks like we might even make it past this one. My point that I wanted to make was the gentleman who called about making tobacco illegal starting in the year 2000.
Yeah.
He must have been suffering from the dumbing down of our educational system.
You know what he was trying to do? He was just trying to sound like he was thoughtful and that he cares. That's what all this stuff does to you. You want to be on the inside of the caring and the thoughtfulness. And so he was trying to make it sound like he had thought this out and he was doing a very compassionate, understanding, and he's trying to accommodate all points of view with his policy.
Well,
the danger is he came to that after thinking about it.
Right, that's the problem. Liberals always make it sound like conservatives want to take away motherhood, apple pie, and the American way. But my point is that if he studied history at all while he was going to elementary and high school, I at least went through the Constitution. Admittedly, I wasn't a student of history then, but I still remember the amendments to the Constitution that prohibited alcohol, if I remember. It was called the Prohibitionists in the Prohibition period. And look what happened to that. We messed up our Constitution by putting an amendment which said, take it away, and then we had to go back and say, no, we really didn't mean that. And it's one of the few flaws in our Constitution, at least the amendments, that exist. And what caused it? Well, rum runners and other people were willing to come in with supplies, just as the drugs are being allowed to come in today, and we're creating another environment. Secondly, you have to think that how many states or municipalities, go right down to the local governments, would go broke because they're not collecting the the taxes.
That's the point that exactly right. This is a multi-billion-dollar business,
Sure.
and people have to earn a living. Forget the tax revenue for a second.
Sure.
Add that on later.
Yeah, but I mean,
You go around. I think people are going to have their eyes open when they actually see what happens when you try to ban a multi-billion-dollar industry.
sure. And they tried that.
Not.
They tried that with alcohol, and look what happened.
Well, I see this. These people all know that. They know that let's say they ban tobacco. They know that somewhere in the world cigarettes are going to be made. They know that somehow they're going to be gotten into the country. They know that somehow they're going to be sold. And they know that somehow people are going to be in bomb shelter type structures beneath the surface of the earth, smoking cigarettes, staying away from their commissar and the authorities.
Yes.
And they know this. I really think that one of the components here with these zealots is an anti-corporate energy that they have. There's something about the tobacco companies that they simply
Making
oppose.
money is
Partially,
the key.
partially, but I think with some liberals, there's no corporation that's worth a damn anyway.
Right. Anything that makes money is no good. But yet people still go out and earn a living, and that isn't selling yourself for money. But that's all a corporation does, and they pay double tax on it.
Right.
So,
well, gambling's illegal in 48 states, isn't it?
it's a lot of states.
48 states, I think gambling's illegal, and lo and behold, have you seen the amount of money bet on the Super Bowl every year? Okay, Savannah, Georgia. Fran, hello. I'm glad you waited. You're on the Rush Limbaugh program.
Thank you very much. How are you, Rush?
Fine, thanks for the call.
I was calling really about the growth of government. And I was a little concerned when I heard the Cato Institute on a forum, and it was titled Economy in the 1990s. And they aired this on C-SPAN on the 30th. And they had 5 economists on there. And they all talked on different subjects. And one of the main things that really bothered me, in 1989, we had 1.5 million more people working in manufacturing industry than we did for the government. And in 1995, these are figures from the National Labor Department, we had 1 million more people working for the government than we have working in our manufacturing industry. And they talk about making government smaller, and our government's the largest it's ever been.
No, I hate to disagree with you, but James Carville last night said during the moments you could understand him.
Well, I tried. But
He said that 270,000 fewer federal employees today than when Clinton took off, or less than John Kennedy. I'm sorry, 270,000 fewer when John Kennedy was here, was president. And you know what always has amazed me about this is whoever said the definition of the size of government is federal employees. That's not what people have meant traditionally when they talk about reducing the size of government. That's not it at all. It's part of it, obviously, but what people are talking about is getting rid of programs, getting rid of the intervention in life that is sponsored by the government. And that has not decreased at all. And if you look at Bill Clinton's speech at the Democratic Convention, this government, and Hillary's, this government is going to grow like it never has if they actually try all those things, which they won't, by the way. You'll never see legislation for half that stuff. All that stuff was just a bunch of words for the election.
But the government is our largest growing industry right now.
It's not an industry. I know what you mean, but it's not an industry.
Well,
it doesn't produce anything but trouble.
I know. That's my whole point. That takes away our liberty. The larger the government, the less private industry, the less liberty we have.
Mm-hmm. Every new law, you lose some freedom.
And also, if we keep growing on the same growth pattern that Slick Willie thinks that we're doing so well on, by the 21st century, we're going to be 20% smaller. Our workforce is going to be 20% smaller.
Doesn't matter. Government will absorb them. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Frightening about it.
Everything will be fine. I don't want you to worry about it, Fran. Thanks. I'm just kidding, Fran. Look, don't. I'm getting to the point where what you say is so obvious that I'm my only recourse is to make a joke with it, because that's how you deal with the sad reality of what you say. Anyway, I was not trying to make light of your concerns. I agree with them wholeheartedly. This is Mike in North Wales, Pennsylvania. You are on the EIB network at the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. Make it count.
Hello, Rush. Make it dittos.
Thank you.
Pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. In the USA Today, they printed that the House Ways and Means Committee stated that with Clinton's tax cuts, that over a 10-year period, it would be a net tax increase of $64 billion over 10 years, estimated in the year 2006, a plus increase of $16.5 billion. In the liberal press.
That's not all. That's not all. You have only mentioned half the story. You want the whole story?
Yes.
Here's the whole story. President Clinton's proposed tax cuts could wind up being a $64 billion tax increase over 10 years, according to analysts for the Republican-controlled Congress. Here's the other half of the story. Democrats don't dispute the accuracy of the numbers. So the Democrats agree that what Bill Clinton is calling a tax cut is going to end up being a $64 billion tax increase over 10 years. But, just as I said to our previous caller, Mike, don't worry about it. What? People don't care. You know, this is what's frustrating about my job. You sit here and you give people the truth for 8 years. You sit here and you warn them about what's going to happen, and they don't care. People do not care that Bill Clinton is lying about his tax cut. They don't care that he lies. They're going to vote for him anyway. It's in all the polling data. So
it's just hard to believe that is even possible, that all the people out here in America, I listen to you every day for the last 5-6 years, ever since my father-in-law turned me on to you, and he, and the Democrats that they don't, you talk to all these people on the phone, why don't you want a 15% tax decrease? Well, I don't think we're going to get it. It's just it's mind-boggling.
So
even think that way.
Even if you don't think you're going to get it, wouldn't you like to have it? I mean, most people don't think they're going to have a house on a beach, but they'd like one. Most people don't think that they're going to get a Mercedes, but they'd like one. Most people don't. Why is there not even the desire for a tax cut on the part of these nimrods? That's what I don't understand. It's, you know what it is? Somebody advanced a theory to me, and of course this is partially accurate. There's no question about it. But ever since withholding started after World War II or during World War II, that your net is your share, that the gross is not yours. Some people don't think that their whole paycheck is theirs. They don't look at their whole paycheck as being partially confiscated. They look at, look how nice they're being to me, look how much my take-home pay is. And if that's the case, then it's been a hideous conspiracy that's worked well, the whole process of withholding.
Well,
but I don't know why it is. It's just it boggles my mind that you say somebody, but you're going to get a 15% across-the-board tax cut. Well, I'll probably never see it. Does that mean you really don't want it? Well, no, I'd like to have it, but I'm not going to get it. But it's right within your grasp.
That's right.
It's within your grasp. It's as though somebody's put enough money in your back pocket here that you can go out and buy your Mercedes if that's what you want. All you got to do is vote for it.
Well, I think the next 54 days is going to prove that as you and all of us out here telling our liberal friends, and of course my father, which is a liberal, which I've tried to get him to listen to your show and he refuses, but I keep working on him. And I think that I just keep clipping everything out of the newspaper and going to send it on to him, and I keep asking him to at least give you a half an hour a day.
Tell him that I listen to every liberal on television every day.
That's right.
Tell him he shouldn't be such a blockhead and close himself off from half the debate. What's he afraid of?
He is afraid of the truth. He is afraid of the truth that he voted for Johnson, he voted for Humphrey, he voted for every Democrat along the line, and now he complains he's retired, that he doesn't have any money. I says, maybe if you would have had some of your tax dollars of your own money that you earned, maybe you'd have a little more money.
Mike, thanks for the call. We got a break here, folks, but don't despair. We will be right back.
You're listening to the EIB Network. I'm not a kid anymore. I have responsibilities, a mortgage, a wife, and 2 kids who depend on my income. I need life insurance. I called Zurich Direct Insurance Agency at 1-800-557-TERM. That's 1-800-557-TERM. $250,000 of term life insurance for just $20 a month. I saved 70%. So now I have money for other things, like preschool, college, weddings. You can save up to 70% on life insurance with Super Select Term from Zurich Life Insurance Company of America. I like to be in control, so I run my own company. I make my own investment decisions, and I deal direct with an insurance company for term life insurance. No hassles or wasted time for me. I called Zurich Direct Insurance Agency at 1-800-557-TERM. And you know, I saved about 70% on my life insurance. 70%. Call Zurich Direct. 1-800-557-TERM. Hey, being in control is great, and saving money is even better.
Well, while you're...
There are super summer savings now at Barnes Jewelers. Barnes now offers savings to 50% off diamond jewelry, up to half price off 10 and 14 karat gold jewelry, and 10 to 50% off watches. These savings and more, along with the best jewelry repair service in Eastern Carolina. Barnes Jewelers, 502B Eastgate Drive, Goldsboro.
For special people, give something special from Barnes Jewelers.
It's hard to stop a train. E.T. Farrell & Son of Mount Olive, your quality train dealer, has the Train XL 1200 high-efficiency gas pack, designed, tested, and manufactured to last. The XL 1200 will run for years regardless of the climate or weather, and the compressor is covered by Train's 10-year manufacturer limited warranty, plus 20 years on the heat exchanger and 2 years on all parts and labor. So for reliable year-round comfort, call E.T. Farrell & Son, serving Eastern North Carolina for over 50 years, 658-2971.
Nobody sells new cars for less, period. Nobody sells for less than Courtesy Buick, GMC Truck, Honda, Mercedes in Goldsboro. How would you like to drive home a brand new Honda Accord LX fully equipped for only $195 per month? You can at Courtesy, $195 per month for a fully equipped Honda Accord LX. Call 1-800-672-5864 for complete details on this 24-month lease. Courtesy also has the popular Honda Passport, sale priced at only $18,995. Courtesy of Goldsboro has tremendous values on other new cars, like the Buick Skylark, fully equipped for only $13,989, or a new 4-door Buick Century with automatic, air, stereo, and more for only $17,989. The world's best vehicles delivered by Eastern North Carolina's best dealership, with the pledge that nobody sells for less. Courtesy Buick, GMC Truck, Honda, Mercedes. Highway 70 bypass Goldsboro. Tax, tag, and dock fee extra.
Time now, ladies and gentlemen, to go back to the phones on the Rush Limbaugh program. We go to Yakima, Washington. Yakima, Washington is where they first began to use 90-gallon trash cans on wheels.